amazing because the Toxic Avenger is my first Troma movie. My brother showed this to me, and I just fell in love with Troma since then.
What Law and Order was until the Toxic Avenger came to town.
Holy shit! I don't know what it was, but it saved my life. All right, everybody.
When I saw this, I was probably 11 years old at the time.
A little too young. But you seem like perfectly successful persons and with a good IQ. So, hey, maybe Toxie helped.
Hey everyone, how you doing? Korey is here in the middle of the day, and as usual, you know, if I'm in here in the middle of the day, because I usually do a lot of stuff at night, I do everything at night, but if I'm here in the middle of the day, I'm here for a reason. It's a very special reason. It's probably, more than likely, for another Double Toasted interview, and today I am probably going to be I'm going to be a little flummoxed because I'm going to be talking to someone who I consider a huge hero of mine for many reasons, and you might be able to hear him in the background now. He wanted to play a little something as we came in, and let me see here. Oh, there it goes. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Lloyd Kaufman. Yes, I'm gonna give you a standing ovation. I'm gonna have to clap against this dog though. Yes, people. You don't.
The closest I've ever come to playing it almost correctly.
You played it beautifully as far as I'm concerned.
Right, Woody Guthrie. There's still a message there that people don't get. This land is your land and my land. It's not, people don't get it. They think it's their land, right? And I'm using the bad pronoun to be woke. The wrong pronoun. That's how woke I am.
Oh.
Anyway, great to see you.
Oh, it is great to see you too, sir. And I'm going to sit up here and I'm going to make sure that you are being heard, and you are. Everything looks like it's good. I tell you, people, if you've heard the name Lloyd Kaufman, then you know exactly what this man is about and what he does. For all of us who love movies out there, for all of us who appreciate some of the talent that we see today, making films and starring in films, a lot of it goes back to this gentleman right here, but also the hours of fun that he's brought us with his own productions. A lot of people credit to this man right here. So he's one, I tell you, Lloyd, the reason why I call you one of my heroes is not just because of your movies, but you have this independent approach towards not only your movies, but also your business. And that is something that I've always kind of cherished right here. We're going to be talking about some of the things that you've, again, had influence on with some of the biggest names in entertainment out there. But we're also here to talk about what you are saying is your final film, Shakespeare's Shitstorm.
I'd save money. See, that's one of the tricks of independent cinema. If you have to slap somebody, slap yourself. You save a lot of. You don't need two people, right? This will be the slap that Korey will never forget. Anyway, enough stupidity. I have an answer to that question. And first of all, Korey, the hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm. The hashtag is part of the title, and one of the main themes of the movie is my lack of respect for a lot of what's going on in hashtag land. So that's amazing. The Twitter hate, the Twitter bait, the catnip for the third rate podcasters that want to bring down James Gunn and Lloyd Kaufman. You know who you are, right? We killed you. We murdered you, little creeps. Anyway, and then the other side of hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm is the fact that we've had hundreds of thousands of our citizens killed by opioid and other drugs. And I've been married for 50 years, and every morning my wife watches those chat shows, Today's Show and whatever. And every 20 minutes there's an ad about pills. So meanwhile, 50 years of children have grown up being brainwashed about pills while they're eating their Fruit Loops. So that's the other thing. And it's, boy, is that needed today. And my favorite, sorry I'm talking so much, but I take my films very seriously. I don't take myself seriously. And I take Korey Coleman very seriously. But Shakespeare's The Tempest is my favorite Shakespearean play. I've seen it many times. I've read quite a bit about it. And I wanted to wait till I was the old age of Prospero. And the play is about losing power. It's about being banished. I'm being banished lower and lower into the underground. There's magic. I make movies. Prospero is an expert at magic. The Tempest has a monster. And a fairy, and all sorts of mystical stuff. And and a very beautiful romance. And all the world loves a lover. So it really, I think if it is my last movie, Korey, it's okay. I'm producing. I'll be producing more, and I am producing. I've produced 4 movies that 2 of which are finished, and they're crazier than Go on, Troma now. First they'll go to some theaters, hopefully, and then they'll go on. Troma Now, the hot new streaming service. It's the future, but now. Troma Now, the app is free, and the first month is free, and Uncle Lloyd is on there all the time, so you can talk to him and your other. It's a great place to get a date, actually.
And there you go, Troma Now, the subscription service, or the streaming service that we see right here for all the millions of Troma fans that are out there. And please don't, first of all, forgive me for disrespecting the name of your movie, which I haven't had a chance to see yet. I just got the screener this week, and it's been a crazy week of watching movies and screeners and the Oscars and everything. But I'm definitely going to get around to this and watch this weekend, and I can't wait. And also, don't you ever apologize to me about how much you're talking. You have so much knowledge and experience. Who the hell am I to tell you to be quiet? I would never do that. So you talk as much as you like. I will come in when I feel like I need to come in.
You're a good guy.
When you let me in, I can wait.
You've made a sad old man happy.
Well, you've made me sad because you say that this is your final film. Would you mind if I show some of hashtag Shakespeare's Shitstorm to people out there?
Oh, you can show anything of mine as long as you don't charge admission.
Well, don't worry about that. Like I said, if anything, I'll be paying you. But let's take a look at a little bit of Lloyd Kaufman's, what he said is going to be his final film, hashtag Shakespeare's Shitstorm.
We don't care about these people's well-being.
Oh, it's time to fuck shit up.
Yay!
Couldn't have said it better myself right there.
Well, that's just a snippet of the magic of hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm.
I gotta ask you, Lloyd, why is it that this is going to be your final film?
Well, right now I don't have any. I usually get obsessed with current events. Poultrygeist Night of the Chicken Dead, which you all know was inspired by the hatred of McDonald's and what fast food has done to the people and the animals and the countryside. So that was Poultrygeist. Class of Nukem High was all about an atomic nuclear energy plant being built by drunken laborers within a quarter of a mile of New York City. Blah, blah, blah. Toxic Avenger, environmental, obviously.
Yeah.
So the first turn on was all about, it was kind of the Korey Coleman biopic, as I remember. It was Vincent D'Onofrio's first movie, too.
Yeah,
Anyway.
And that's one of the things that I want to talk about, and really, it's going to seem like maybe I'm just overly kissing your ass here, but I'm not. I really mean the things that I say. And, this might be one of the only chances that I have to say this to you. But you, to me, this is the first time I met you, but you just seem like one of the kindest people working in the entertainment industry. And your influence on Hollywood is deeper than some people know out there. And you're already a legend, you know, so people already know you, but really, some people don't even know how deep your influence runs. How do you, you know, you've contributed to so much. How do you, and you continue to talk to so many people out there and help them out. How do you remain so humble?
It's pretty easy when you're making movies for 50 years in New York City, and the New York Times doesn't even have a decency to even say anything about how we've been here for 50 years, right? None of the New York media has lifted a finger. So we'll see if anything happens. And when Toxic Avenger opened, Vincent Canby, the #1 critic in the country, #1 New York Times critic, probably the best in the most revered in the country, he chose the Toxic Avenger because he thought it was curious. Rather than review the mainstream movie that was opening that week, he reviewed Toxic Avenger, and he, believe it or not, he made history. But none of these guys today, they're more interested in you know, the whatever the majors, you know, the publicity departments. Right?
Yeah.
I am not bitter. I'm so happy.
No, Toxic Avenger is my.
Say one other thing.
Oh, yes,
May
sir.
I say one other thing? The great Chaplin is the big influence on me, as is obvious in my movies. Lots of slapstick. But when the end of The Great Dictator, when he talks about being a human of the world, and also in Monsieur Verdoux, he makes a speech about obscenity and what is obscenity and what is criminality. And of course, his reward was getting kicked out of the country. But I can't help thinking of that. We're humans of the world. And if you tell your kid to clean up the room, you can also tell him, hey, clean up the planet or you're going to be French fried or whatever, you know?
Yeah, you know what? That's amazing because the Toxic Avenger is my first Troma movie. My brother showed this to me, and I just fell in love with Troma since then.
What Law and Order was until the Toxic Avenger came to town.
Holy shit! I don't know what it was, but it saved my life. All right, everybody, drop your tacos.
When I saw this, I was probably 11 years old at the time.
A little too young. But you seem like a perfectly successful person and with a good IQ. So, hey, maybe Toxie helped you. You know?
I would think that he did, man. Hey, like you said, you know, he had a great message about clean up the planet. So I think I get my environmental consciousness from you and the Toxic Avenger out there. But, you know, I just want to go in and talk about, you know, we're talking about some of the influences that you've had on people and the people that have, you know, come to their success in their careers from working with you. And we've all heard about James Gunn and Romeo and Juliet. But would you mind if I just show people some other folks and celebrities that have like worked with you and probably started their careers with you? Just real brief. May I show some people?
Anybody you want. But remember, I didn't direct all these films. And in some cases, they may be movies that friends of ours made that didn't get distributed. So I'll let you know after you show them.
Okay, that's great to know then. All right, tell me how much involvement you had with this one, the Toxic Avenger Part 2, that has Michael Jai White. Everybody knows Michael Jai White.
Yeah, he's great. My big regret on Michael Jai White is that I stupidly didn't give him a bigger part. I should have rewritten stuff, you know. I knew at the time he was the best looking guy. He was funny. He was smart. I think he went to Yale. And stupid me, I'm so panicked about getting the movie done. You know, on Vincent D'Onofrio on the first turn on, for some reason, he was so goofy and you know, we kept building on his part. But I really, I regret that. I have many regrets. I'm not Edith Piaf with no regrets.
Yeah. You know, you mentioned Michael. So I'm going to show people Michael Jai White from the Toxic Avenger Part 2 right here. Let me see. Let me turn up the sound on this so people can hear it.
We shot most of that in Japan.
And as you can see, there he is, and Vincent, and Vincent D'Onofrio from the first Turn On. A lot of people, like you said, today we see him as this big imposing guy, the Kingpin. He's played these dark roles, but he had a very goofy role in this movie here.
Stop joking and start stroking.
It's wonderful seeing these. J.J. Abrams did some work for you as a teenager. You had Billy Bob Thornton and Chopper.
That's one we didn't have anything to do with. But the guy who produced it, with Billy Bob Thornton's, permission, had us distribute it, and then somebody else got it. At any rate, it was it's a wonderful film, terrific. But I cannot take 1 second of credit other than it's got some of the best lines. Other than making sure that Troma paid a little bit for it. Obviously nobody else.
We talk about all these folks, and it's almost like skip film school and just come hang with you. But you were talking about like the New York Times not mentioning you enough, and also the influence that you've had.
Oh,
also, what's that?
The New York Times, it's like Russia. In Russia, if they don't want to kill you, they yank your passport, and you're a non-person. That's where we are in New York City. Texas loves us. Oklahoma loves us. New England loves us. You love us. But apparently, we haven't done enough for New York. We haven't. The fact that I've written 7 books and directed 30 to 40 movies, and that we have discovered that James Gunn and others have sprung from my loins. That Samuel Jackson's first movie is a movie that Troma financed. I could talk for 2 hours, but it's not enough. The New York Times would rather pay lots of attention to an amazing movie that opened about 2 weeks ago, and it probably is good, but it's so brilliant. It combines 2 genres, porno and slasher. Right? Oh my God, that's never been done. Well, what do they think New York? Troma's been doing for 50 years. Anyway, I've seen the film. It's very good. It's called X, and it's excellent. And but they have A24 and major publicity people and people who pay advertising for the New York Times. So why should the New York Times pay attention to my last film, which doesn't just combine porn and slasher? It combines slapstick, political, sex, already sex, everything. It's everything. Not good enough.
Well, that's what I want to ask you. You're talking about how you feel like you're not getting enough love from the New York publications, but
I don't feel it. I know.
And you know it. Well, do you feel like you're not getting, or do you know that you're not getting enough credit that you deserve from other places? The people that you've helped, Hollywood itself. Do you feel like
the people who've come out in Troma are the greatest people? I mean, really, James Gunn, Eli Roth, they're the people with whom I really work. They're the best people in the world. They're lovely, and again, and that's with 99.9% of the mainstream scum of the earth. There are people coming out of Troma, and a few people, the best people in the world, are in that 1/10 of 1%. I'm friends with a few celebrities, and they're wonderful Oscar winners, and they would love to work with Troma, but unfortunately, the kind of movies we make, which have thousands of people in them, we can't do under the SAG agreement.
Yeah. Well, who are some of the? You say you still hang out with some of these people. Who are some of the people that you keep in contact with?
Well, how about Gabe Friedman? He's got a big job. No, they but you don't know him because he only wrote Poultrygeist and came up with the story for #Shakespeare Shitstorm along with Shakespeare. But how about James Gunn? I'm flying down to Atlanta. I hope I haven't signed an NDA yet. So I'm going to have a big part in this movie, Guardian.
Never heard of it.
Guardian, look at that. After all this time, James is bringing me down to Guardians of the Galaxy. And I'll tell you, those Troma fans, they're all over me asking if it's going to, I get more credit for that from my fans in a way than, it validates the fact that James keeps putting me in the movies, that does a lot for my fan base, right? They enjoy it with me. Troma has the best fans in the world, no question about it. There's no question that Michael Hers and I would not be entering our 50th year of Troma without the fact that Eli and James Gunn and Trey and Matt have been very, very nice to us.
You know, I've talked about it. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Lemmy was the best. I actually wept when he cried. I was in the the San Blas Islands with the Guna Indians, way out of the, and we had intermittent, internet. But when I heard that Lemmy died, I really was so sad.
Yeah, Lemmy from Motorhead, the lead singer.
Died too. Stan's in about eight of our movies. Lemmy's in a few of them. Everybody's dying. John G. Avildsen, with whom my mentor, with whom I worked on Cry Uncle, which you can see safely and securely on Troma now. It's the future, but now Cry Uncle, hilarious, made in 1970. You should see that. And if you go to Troma now, the first month is free. Check out Avildsen's Cry Uncle. Also, he has one of the shorts in Foreplay, F-O-U-R play. That alone would be worth a month of Troma now, but it's free. And so he and I worked together on Rocky and Saturday Night Fever, and we were lifelong friends, and he died. And hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm is dedicated to my stepmother, Sigrid, John G. Avildsen, and Stan Lee.
Nice, excellent.
To Lemmy. Return to Nukem High.
You've
Return to Nukem High. No, Return to Nukem High, Volume 2, which was Lemmy's last movie. That's dedicated to Lemmy.
Nice. See, that's what, you've worked with all these people, man, and some of these people, they whether they say it or not, they credit their fame and their fortune is credited to you. But you seem, yeah.
Most of the people that have been successful are very, very loyal to us. I don't think they could be any. Well, we did finance, I think, the first film of Samuel Jackson, and he didn't ever say anything nice. He was on a talk show, and they brought it up, I think, to embarrass him. Death by Temptation might be the best movie. It might be the best movie in Troma's library, but they brought it up to embarrass him. And then he said, oh, those guys, they owe me money, right? Instead of saying, oh, they're fucking Jewish white guys. It was thanks to them that the movie got made. They put about $400,000 of their hard-earned Jewish money into a movie with all black people.
That is true.
He couldn't say thank you.
So I guess it's safe to say that you haven't talked to Samuel Jackson in quite a while.
I've never met the guy. Never met him. All we did was they needed money to finish. We put up a lot of money to finish. What's his name? The Spike Lee's cameraman.
Oh, Ernest Dickerson.
Had to go elsewhere, so I did the director of photography. What's the name of the guy?
Ernest Dickerson.
Yes, Dickerson. Yeah, with whom I'm quite friendly. He's great. I've interviewed him for one of my books, and I was scared shit because I did the director of photography for the climactic end of the movie with the monster, and I for years I was scared that he would be pissed off, that we took the cheap way out and using me instead of hiring some fancy DP. And he said he was very happy with it. They looked great and good guy. And there's a very good interview in one of my books with him, I think, about directing for television. It might be Direct Your Own Damn Movie. I don't quite remember, but very wise and very generous. Good guy.
You're talking about how you finance movies, but I was saying you're talking about how you finance movies, but like I was saying, you've made a lot of people very rich and very popular and very famous, but you yourself you've been very profitable and very famous for working on low budgets, working pretty fast, working efficiently. What would you recommend for people who want to get into the business? Would you recommend your model over the Hollywood model?
First of all, if you read the introduction to one of my books. Also on my Twitter feed, at Lloyd Kaufman, I have a quote from Trey Parker. Nobody knows how to make money losing movies better than Lloyd Kaufman. Right? So our movies are really have one foot in a certain crusade, right? And at times we've made money, but certainly Michael Hers, being the valedictorian of the best public school in New York and a Yale graduate and a lawyer with over 160 IQ, and Lloyd Kaufman, a graduate of Yale with an IQ of over 65. I honestly think that whatever we've given the world is worth an awful lot.
Of course.
And, what more? I can't say it any other way. So clearly, I think I am a bitter old man. Michael Hers, honestly, he has self-confidence. He's seen every movie in the world. We directed a bunch of movies together until he, got mature and grew up. And he's really the best. You don't get any better than that. And I've been partners for 50 years almost, and also the commissioner, my wife. I've been very fortunate to be married to my wife, who was the New York State, just retired, produced, after she retired, produced #Shakespeare Shitstorm, but for 20 years was the New York State Film Commissioner, appointed by both Republican and Democrats, in spite of Surf Nazis Must Die and Bloodsucking Freaks and all that, and created the incentive whereby if you make a movie in New York, you can get a third of your budget back in cash, which is why Spider-Man and those big movies were made here. And for the first time, Troma has taken advantage of this with #Shakespeare Shitstorm. We didn't, even though it was legal, unlike most of the elected representatives, the optics, we didn't want to take any advantage of my wife's commissionership, as opposed to the husband of Nancy Pelosi, who apparently is okay with investing in, what do you call it, secret information, and most of Congress is allowed to buy and sell stock, even though they're privy to inside information. But my wife, no, even though it's legal.
It's amazing to hear you talk about your wife like this. You're a very lucky man to have the kind of relationship you do, with your marriage and your business. And she sounds like a great woman. And, a lot of people, I guess, don't, like myself, and I'm sorry, both of you have a lot of influence on the film industry.
Well, I'll tell you, this tea tastes delicious.
I didn't mean to catch you while you were drinking. Sorry about that.
I'm supposed to get hydrated. No, my wife loves cinema, and when she started the incentive, a lot of it was to develop a New York State industry, and to a large extent, under her stewardship, if you made a movie for $50,000, $10,000, and you did the protocol, you'd get your third back. But now, I think Cuomo, after she retired, Cuomo made the minimum to get the subsidy $1 million. So how does that help the NYU student? How does that help the poor person who's scraped $2,000 or $10,000 together on Kickstarter? The whole idea was to build an industry. Oh yeah, it's going to be very good for the 12 TV studios that have been built that are running Netflix series. But what about the creation of the young people?
Yeah.
But I won't be around forever.
And there'll never be another one like you either, man. That's safe to say. You've left your mark on huge movies out there. You actually, we're talking about how you work independently, but you worked on some big movies. You were a producer on a pretty big film, The Final Countdown. Michael Douglas and a few other people in there.
Well, I was basically there because of my expertise in saving money. And Peter Douglas, the son of Kirk Douglas, saw my ad saw Troma's ad in Variety because my services were paying the rent as a production manager. So we had a big ad that said Lloyd Kaufman makes a nickel look like a dollar, and it quoted John G. Avildsen, Oscar winner of Rocky. So and I did a lot of work on Rocky, which saved them lots of money. Anyway, I got to be Peter Douglas. The son was 19. I was 30 something, 30 or 32. And so I was kind of the nuts and bolts guy, and they got it made. I also, with Peter, was able to sell the Navy on giving us F-14s and the USS Nimitz, and I, because Kirk Douglas is one of the greatest filmmakers and stars in the history of cinema, and his autobiography, Ragman's Son, is terrific. Anyway, he's one of the greatest people, and he almost slugged me. But once he realized I was on the level, he was a very big supporter of Troma, and said we went to a benefit where he said how great Troma is, and he really was so happy and respectful of what we had done.
Wow, he almost slugged you for what?
I told him the truth, and most people I just mentioned, 99.9% of the industry are the scum of the world, and Kirk knew that, and Kirk was the bravest too. He's the first one to give Dalton Trumbo a screen credit. He optioned Spartacus. He produced Spartacus and let the Howard Fast and the others have their screen credits. He broke the blacklist, among other things. Kirk was an amazing, he just, again, I worked with him at the end of his career. So by then he, I think, was pretty, he felt the same way as I do about the mainstream. So once I proved myself to him that every time I told him something, I told him the truth, then he came around. And I remember we were on the Nimitz. A lot of this was shot on the USS Nimitz aircraft carrier. And my mother and E. Lazaron came on board. And the first thing they heard was Kirk yelling, "Send me Lloyd, where's Lloyd? Get me Lloyd." And my mother was so proud.
Nice.
It was more important than Squeeze Play or Waitress or any of, or Rocky, but the fact that Kirk Douglas wanted me on set, my mother never forgot it.
Yeah, you worked on that, and that was after Troma was formed. That movie, the Final Countdown, that was 1980. Troma was formed in 1974, right?
Yes. The Final Countdown was my farewell to Hollywood. That was a horrible experience. But Peter and Kirk and I were the only ones interested in making a good movie, as far as I could see.
Yeah.
Blu-ray. By the way, the Blu-ray of Final Countdown is distributed by Blue Underground. If it weren't for Blue Underground by who is run by Mr. William Lustig, who made Maniac, Joseph Spinell's best movie. If it weren't for Blue Underground, I think Final Countdown would have been, who knows?
Yeah.
And it's a United Artists movie. They don't care. And luckily, Blue Underground distributed huge, 500. He made a fortune. Public loves it. But United Artists was going bankrupt. I don't know. At any rate, if you get the Blu-ray of Final Countdown, you'll hear Uncle Lloydie telling you the truth about Final Countdown, about what it was like working on it, and how Kirk Douglas and his son Peter were probably the only. Well, Martin Sheen was kind of a good guy, but everybody else, it was just his schlocko job. $88,000 for Catherine Ross in 1979. You ever hear of her? I never heard of her. No, you have heard of her. And she was in The Graduate, and Tell 'Em Willie Boy is here, which was a very important film. But she was interested in chairs, at least in my opinion. I never saw any evidence that she cared about the movie. But they were all like, oh no, there was another guy too, a fat guy who's dead. Charles Gurney. He was a good guy, and he did his best and everything. But everybody else, I'm very sorry to say, it was all about who had a bigger bed, a bigger suite, whatever. I didn't see any evidence that anybody other than those I mentioned.
Is that
Plus,
what?
I've written about it in my books. There's some very amusing incidents about how we had to fire the entire crew and I always got the shit kicked out of me. I didn't read it. I don't want to waste time now, but
No, but that's what I want to ask you about because that's what's fascinating to me because, like I said, I see myself as someone who loves to work very independently. So to see you that's why I say you're one of my heroes for doing this because you work very independently. And it was this movie right here, The Final Countdown, if I'm correct, is what really turned you away from the studios, made you want to like not work with Hollywood anymore. And you've kind of given a little hint of what it was. But can you elaborate a little bit more of what happened that really pushed you away and made you not want to work in studios again?
well, again, it's not. I just saw the main thing was nobody wanted to make a good movie. Nobody cared. Nobody wanted to rehearse. The first crew wouldn't even go on. I practically blew the captain of the ship, and I think Peter Douglas too, to get us a few days to go out at sea and do do tests. Camera. The friggin' drunken crew didn't even want to go out and do that. And the result was the stuff for the first few days was garbage. Anyway, again, this is kind of opinion, but it's a fact. We fired him, and that got me almost beaten up. And the National Labor Relations Board and blah blah blah. It ain't worth it if you're not going to make a good movie. I went to Yale. I could be a hedge fund guy. Michael Hurst could be. Michael Hurst should have been poached to run these studios that are owned by film companies. He'd run Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers would be hugely successful. But meanwhile, he's running Troma. So thank you. Lucky me.
Yeah, and that's your business partner in Troma.
Also creative. We directed a lot of movies together until he decided he didn't want to worry at 4:30 in the morning where the truck was going to be parked, or did we have enough porta potties, or was the lunch being cooked? That kind of stuff. I don't.
We're talking about how you didn't work in the mainstream anymore, even though, and this is before The Final Countdown.
It's not that I don't want to. It's just they can't buy my act, and that's as clear as that. And my brother Charles Kaufman, who made Eli Roth's favorite horror film, Mother's Day, and is infinitely a lot more talented than I. He was out in Hollywood for 10 years, whatever you call it, Beverly Hills, whatever, that community. And I guarantee you, every movie he made for us made a lot of money. And these idiots, they prefer a creep like Abel Ferrar, or well, I don't want to mention the other names. But, that's what they like. They want the guy with the scarf and the bullshit and who beats up the woman. They don't want, my brother, who's the best, nicest guy in the world and incredibly talented. Well, meanwhile, what are you going to do? It's not that we don't want to work with the mainstream, but, I don't particularly care to do whatever. They don't buy our act. That's as simple as that.
Well, I think you're doing much better and having more influence with what you're doing right now. I mean, you're making the kind of movies you would want to make where no telling how many hoops you would have to jump through to get even an idea heard of what you're doing right now.
Yeah, we tried. I remember lugging those 35 millimeter prints, two cans, and wearing my little bar mitzvah suit with the tie. And sometimes I'd go up to the gate of Warner Brothers and what's her name, Diane, somebody or other, the acquisitions person, would forget to leave the pass. And so I'd be standing outside my car while everybody's going into the factory, sweating in the hot sun. And then when the pass came, my parking lot would be a quarter of a mile away, so I could walk to the office where all the power they had was to say no. I did plenty of that, but it's not like we didn't try. Ask Michael Hurst. We did everything we could. They didn't buy our act. Maybe we weren't sleazy enough. Maybe we weren't phony enough. Who knows? Or maybe we didn't have the magic that Abel Ferrar has.
Well, don't you think you have more freedom in that? Isn't that something that you value more right now, that you have the freedom to do what you want to do?
Oh, I'm lucky. I think Michael Hurst and I are very lucky. We've had a 50-year run. We've sent our kids to good schools. We got grandchildren who were well provided for. I should have absolutely no complaints, but I got a lot of regrets.
Oh,
Like
what's one of them?
I could have done things differently in the past, and you know,
What do you consider regret?
Kabuki Man is one of them. In terms of, I have plenty of personal regrets, which I prefer to keep to myself. But although some of them you can read in my book, All I Need to Know About Filmmaking, I learned from the Toxic Avenger. My books are rather personal, and half of them are the Make Your Damn Movie books. Half are the Troma way, and then half are interviews with people who've been successful by doing it the correct way. You know, Oscar winners, James Bond.
Wow. You know, it's funny. I have a friend of mine who is a writer on, because you're talking about Sergeant Kabuki Man, NYPD, right? Is that the movie you're speaking of? I have a friend, Andrew. Well, I don't know if I should say his name, but he was a writer on Sergeant Kabuki Man.
Yes, Andrew Osborne.
Yes, Andrew Osborne. Yes, Andrew Osborne's a friend of mine, and he worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, he worked.
Yeah, he's in the movie. I got the pleasure of killing Andrew Osborne in the movie.
Yes, we watch, we talk about that scene all the time. Yeah, he's a good guy, but you say the movie itself is a regret of yours.
Well, no, it's a regret that we had Mr. Nakamura as a partner. He's one of the richest men he's dead now. He lived to be 99, but he was among the 20 top rich people in Japan, and his company Namco created Pac-Man, and we were each putting up half the money, and his company got acquired by Bandai, and Namco and Troma each put up half the money, and then Namco would have Japanese rights. And stupid me, I insisted on certain Troma elements in the movie, like eating the live worms. And Mr. Nakamura's people were saying, do we have to have that? You know, we want to use Kabuki Man in our theme parks. We have these little theme parks called Eggland. And we want Kabuki Man to be a guy in there. And stupid me, so we compromised. And that was a mistake. I either should have let them, they're billionaires, and I should have said, okay, let's do it. I'll do whatever you want, you know. But instead, I asked for my stuff and compromised. So the movie is neither Troma nor Namco, and I think it's a good movie, and a lot of fans at Troma love it. It's on Troma now exclusively, and Doug Sackman, who has worked for us for 20 years, and makes his own damn movies. He was my assistant. He's got his own projects. And he was the head of practical effects on hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm. He's commissioned a terrific script that's getting better and better and better. And maybe we can send that to Legendary. Maybe they'll be interested. If Toxie does well, if the $1 billion remake of Toxie does well, I think we'll have a shot at Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD, because it was indeed the most mainstream of our movies. And CBS was literally on the verge. Deke Entertainment were going to create a cartoon show based on Sergeant Kabuki Man, and they did a pilot. But just at that time, the anti-Japanese sentiment in Congress crescendoed to whereby they were, because the Japanese were stupid enough to buy Rockefeller Center and take a huge loss. There were congressmen who were saying, yeah, it's Pearl Harbor all over again. They're taking all our culture, you know, yeah, Rockefeller culture. So anyway, so that was the end of Kabuki Man's cartoon, according to CBS. And but Kabuki Man may have a second life. It's a great character, and the script, even the movie with the compromises, which I do regret. I should have let Namco I should have done what they told me.
Well, you did have and continued success, of course, with Toxic Avenger. You know, you're talking about a cartoon with Sergeant Kabuki, man. There was a cartoon in 1991 with the Toxic Avenger. You know, how was that experience? I always wondered, like, wow, Troma is known for being very adult, you know, very edgy, very, you know, very gross out, anything but kid stuff. And then you get this kid show with one of your biggest creations, Toxic Avenger. It was called the Toxic Crusaders. How did that come about?
I would say that is manna from heaven. From what I can discern, the toy company that brought you Teenage Ninja Turtles, I'm a big fan of them, and actually Kevin Eastman was a big fan of, he's still a big fan of, you know, we were sort of friendly. Apparently the toy company thought that Turtles had run its course, and they wanted an environmental toy. And somehow somebody somewhere said, hey, Toxic Avenger. And they started making those great toys. And the action figures were terrific. And the cartoon company was the same company that did Turtles. And the writers and directors were, and also the actors were huge fans of Troma. So they loved the cartoon, you know, the writers of the cartoon show are people who wrote Laugh-In and, you know, really great TV comedy. And they did a great job. The Toxic Crusaders cartoons are exclusive now on Troma Now. And the best one, I think Michael Hurst will agree, there's a cartoon where Roseanne the comedian, is an insect, and it's wonderful. It's brilliant. It's just really great. All the cartoons are good, and there's a lot of other stuff on Troma Now. Doggy Tales for children, all about the doggies daycare center, and it has doggy songs and teaches the kids about the different brands of dogs. And also, if you're a stoner and you're watching this, Doggy Tales is terrific. Get yourself totally baked and watch Doggy Tales.
I tell you, man, I should have been on this already, but you're really selling me on Troma Now, man. You know, I have a lot of streaming services that I'm subscribed to, but I really do enjoy Troma, and I'm glad that you're pushing this. You know, and I'm glad that it has a little bit of something on there for everybody.
Oh, definitely. In fact, James Gunn, Jenna Fisher are the voices, along with Uncle Lloydie, my daughter Charlotte, who shot Return to Nukamai, who starred in Terra Firma, played Audrey, my mute child, who is now producing HBO movies. She took a big deal with this. She had a lot to do with it.
Very nice. You know, I'm going to ask you a couple of other things. I know you're a very busy man. I do cherish the time that you have spent with me today. But, you know, I would love to know your opinion on this. Everyone's talking about the state of cinema today, you know, the superhero movies, all the movies getting pushed out of the theaters, you know, no more mature stuff for people out there who really love, you know, real movies and whatnot. But, you know, you've always been about, what I think why people really gravitate towards your movies and why they love you in your films and Troma is because it's always been about fun. And so what this whole thing about cinema and what it is today in the state of theaters, what do you think about all that?
Well, speaking of fun, the band that did the song that was wonderful, where it ends up with passed out on the barroom floor, the best. And it was a big hit, huge hit. Anyway, wherever you are, if you ever want to donate some music to a Troma movie, we're there for you. I think the thing is, if you're going to make movies, listen to the maxim, to thine own self be true, a maxim created by one William Shakespeare, who wrote the best-selling novel, 101 best-selling movie titles, otherwise known as Hamlet. Do what you love. Do what's in your brain and your heart and your soul. You know, it's an art form. If you want to make money, go to Harvard and become a evil hedge fund guy. You know. And I think I'm optimistic about the art of cinema, the moving image, because the gamers, the experimental, You can make movies now for nothing. You don't need money, and that's why I'm more interested in producing, rather unless I find something wonderful, a multi-genre script. I'll do anything, but I got to really love it. But you know, these young people today can make movies for $5,000 that are better than Class of Newcomb High or those Oscar winners, right? In fact, if you look at Father's Day, made 10 years ago by brilliant Canadians, Astron 6, there are only 5 of them. It's as good as any Troma movie, and I think they made that for well under 25,000 10 years ago, and they got stunts, they got plenty of hot nudity, they got. I mean, it's as good as any Troma movie, and I think that led them to make the movie The Void, not part of Troma, but The Void. It's not the Lloyd, remember, it's The Void. A wonderful film, and they made that. And one of them is doing a lot of work for Guillermo del Toro, who is a big Troma fan. And if you haven't seen Nightmare Alley, you got to see it.
Nightmare Alley is my favorite movie of 2021. I love that movie, man. I just saw it, and I absolutely just adore that film.
Don't you think it should have won Best Picture?
It was a crime the way that movie was just treated badly by the studio, marketed wrong, and no one heard about it. You know, it really did that movie an injustice. But it's a brilliant film, brilliant film.
Let me tell you, Michael Hose and I watched it multiple times. We both loved it.
Yeah. I know, I love it too, and I didn't get a chance to see it at the theater because they had yanked it so quickly. But I'm really glad it was on HBO Max. And people, if you haven't seen Nightmare Alley, please do yourself a favor and go check it out. It's you probably heard about it from the Academy Awards, but of course it didn't win anything. But awesome movie, man. My favorite movie in 2021. I gotta just switch gears here just real quick and tell you, I really appreciate how you continue to work with people out there, people of all types. You've actually were in a movie with another friend of mine, buddy of mine, Brad Jones. You played his father in his movie, another Cinema Snob movie. And you know, these creators that you're working with, they're very independent people. And you have so many independent creators out there right now. And like I said, you've worked with a few YouTubers. And you're talking, and this is very good connecting to what you're talking about when you say people today, young people today can make a movie for $5,000 or less and make it look great. So where do you see entertainment as a whole going with so many independent creators out there? And when we're talking about filmmakers, content creators, we're talking about musicians of all types. But with this independent spirit that you have and everybody else has, where do you see the entertainment going?
I think that I'm optimistic. I think that the fact that these late night shows are showing more influencers videos every day, the fact that hey, here's an example: Cincinnati, hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm. No theater would play it, of course not. Regal, AMC, they're sucking the corporate dick. We played it in a brewery, 250 people, filled every seat. They paid $25. Who needs a theater? And it's still going. How about Texas? We got Alamo Draft House. We have a bar in Austin. We don't need the and I'm an old man. I think the young people are going to swamp. I think the major is going to have a lot of trouble. In fact, based on the political world, I'm concerned that Disney's going to go way down. Also, all that stuff should be public domain. Mickey Mouse ought to be given back to the public. Disney could make all the money it wants with its Mickey, but how about Steven Soderbergh? Suppose he did. Suppose Spike Lee did a Mickey Mouse. Suppose I did a Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
But you could still make billions of dollars. They're just the scum of the earth. That's all. Look at the politics. I don't want to say any more.
Well, you know what? See, that's the beauty of you being able to work like you work and have the freedom you do. You can say these things and point out the bullshit for what it is. And that's one of the things I think is really great about having this freedom of working on, for yourself and on your own and being independent. Because I agree with everything you're saying.
Well, you do, but the point is we live in an age where we have freedom of speech as long as we don't say anything. So all these people that could make a difference, they're afraid. You know, I have a lot of brilliant friends. They're not on social because they're scared. They don't want to say anything. You know, it's terrible. This is a very bad age. I'm sorry. And by the way, I know Biden is a wonderful war president, but how did he get all that real estate? Where are the investigative reporters? I mean, honestly, and I voted, you know, I certainly don't want to, I voted for him as Michael Moore says, who is a big Troma fan, the lesser of two evils, you know, the evil of two lessers. Sorry, the evil of two lessers. You know, what are you going to do? But I'd still like to know, I'd like to know more about Nancy Pelosi's husband, who somehow is allowed to trade on inside, sleeping in the same bed with Nancy Pelosi. And I'd like to know where the coal miners senator, Mnuchin, you know, where did he get all his money? The New York Times, who I don't like, but they've done a wonderful expose of Senator Manchin and how he went from being a coal miner's daughter to a billionaire, through totally corrupt but legal. And he's a senator. How about Menendez? How about this fuck from New Jersey? He's been indicted twice. He's been on the yachts with all the, you know, the wonderful people who you've read about in the news, the eye doctors and the, right? Why is he still in office? He does wear a nice suit. And Corey Feldman, right? I would vote for him, but he's first row. He's in the first row at Menendez's trial. Fuck them all. I'm sorry. And they kicked out, right? The Democrats kicked out Al Franken, a Minneapolis Democrat senator for whom my daughter worked at full whatever. And he was a senator who was helping people. Democrats kicked him out. That woman from upstate New York, the one who's so, you know, I'm so passionate about the veterans. I can't remember the name. She filled up Hillary. She's the daughter of some bigwig up there. Fuck her.
You know, that's I love what you're saying because we see it happening today. I don't want to bring up this whole Will Smith thing and all, but you know, I was just looking at how all the politics were attached to this one incident, and now these people are coming out and they're saying like this is all you know, I feel assaulted by a joke. You know, when a joke wasn't even made about them. So you know what you're saying about this whole thing of you can't come out and say anything today because one word will get people riled up and people will try to, and I'm not all about cancel culture and all that. I don't even use that word, but people are trying to bring people down because of their feelings being mixed up over something that wasn't even about them. So when you know, that definitely we saw the roots of that with, well, it went before Al Franken, but we definitely saw the roots of that with Al Franken, man. I was appalled by what happened with that.
Well, you're right, and I don't know what to say except that it's a kind of a tragedy.
Yeah, but you know what's not a tragedy at all is all the wonderful things that you've given us, man. You and your business partner and everybody that's worked with you and under you and come up from under you. This has been, and it's going to sound maybe a little. This is going to be. It's going to sound like I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I'm not. This is a dream come true for me to talk to you. This has been brilliant, and it's everything I hoped it could be. And I really appreciate you spending your time with me.
Well, thank you, and thank you for very few people pay attention to old Uncle Lloydie and Troma. But I would like to say that as Berkshire Hathaway, what's his name? Warren Buffett says, being born in America is winning the lottery. And may I say, as the son of a bourgeois who could send me to Yale and who could leave me a few bucks, fuck you, Buffett, it's not true, right? Let the people in and let them make their money and let them work hard and you know, that's bullshit. I'm just lucky enough that my parents put me through Yale and how lucky am I? And how lucky am I that I married a wonderful wife and Michael Hers is my partner, and yes, America is the greatest place on earth. But boy, it ain't what Buffett says. And I'm sure Korey, you get that.
Oh no, I love the passion, man.
Michael Moore. Michael Moore will give you the truth. Michael Moore, I don't know where he is these days, but that's the unvarnished truth.
Yeah. No, this is brilliant because I love this passion, man. You know, you're not bullshitting. You're coming in and telling you either telling it like it is or just speaking your mind right up front. And that's what makes a brilliant interview. And I appreciate that. Thank you so much for this, man. I don't know what else to say. You've answered everything so brilliantly.
May I please thank you and Toast and Mr. Gore, Love Film Threat. And if you don't mind, I'm going to play a little something for you and cut it whenever you want. I'll have to wet the reed. Hold on, where is that? I'm very dry.
Y'all ready? Ladies and gentlemen, Lloyd Kaufman, filmmaker, producer, non-bullshitter, musician, and just all-around wonderful guy. Please go check out Troma now. Where is it? There it is. Check out Troma now. If you love Troma, you'll be doing yourself a favor by going here. And check out hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm. Support. And thank you, Lloyd Kaufman. And he said, cut it whenever you're ready, and I will cut it now. Thank you, sir. Hey! Well, that made my week. Not my day, not my weekend. That made my week. I'll be floating on a cloud all the way until next week and probably a few days after. I want to thank Lloyd Kaufman, of course, for coming in and sharing everything that's on his mind. Not just Troma and not just movies and not just entertainment, but apparently the man feels a way about a lot of things. And I feel a way about him. That was a great interview. And I really appreciate the time he spent with us, as I appreciate the time you spend with us. Thank you so much. As I say, none of this would be possible if it weren't for you out there. And I truly love you all for that. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak to some of my heroes like Lloyd Kaufman. That is why I'm telling you right now, first of all, go and check out this and other interviews that we do on Double Toasted Interviews on YouTube. I would pull it up right now. I should have had it ready, but I don't want to waste your time. Just go and look for Double Toasted Interviews. If you like that, we interview plenty more personalities, actors, artists, animators, voice actors, a lot of people. We've even talked to scientists and a few other folks out there, producers and creators, screenwriters, so many people that I've been fortunate enough to share some time with and hear all the knowledge that they have to give and all the experiences that they can share. So please, we've built up so many, a huge library now of these interviews, and I would love for you to go and check them out. Not for my sake, but these people really do have wonderful things to say. And I have something wonderful to say to you right now, and that is, don't you ever hesitate to get a hold of me. I'll let you know that all the time. You can send me an email day or night. If I don't get to it right then I will do my best to try to get to it at some point. And you can reach us at kcoolmans@gmail.com. Oh, let me cut that down a little bit. gmail.com. KCOOLMANZ@gmail.com. That is kcoolmans@gmail.com. Hit us up with any kind of questions, comments, compliments, insults, input, and/or advice. Hit us up on those social medias, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You see all that information down right there. Memorize it, copy it, but you absolutely have to use it. Also, people, if you find yourself here in Austin, Texas, please let us know. Once again, hit us up on kcoolmans@gmail.com and let us know what your plans are for Austin, whether you're moving here or just passing through, because we would love to hang out with you if you give us enough notice. And again, I want to thank all of you out there for watching or listening, and I want to thank Lloyd Kaufman for spending some time with us today. And we'll see you on the next one, whatever that may be. Good night, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you are listening to or watching this. Goodbye, and stay toasty.